A very hearty welcome to all my computer science class 12 students. I really hope that you people are studying well, keeping well, and also practicing well. So, uh, welcome to my channel. If you have still not subscribed, please subscribe it. So today in this class we are going to discuss about functions. So we will be taking up some questions, some programming questions as well as some conceptual HOTS questions from the chapter functions. So let's move on. So these are the three questions which we are going to see first. Write a program to have the following functions. A function, so this question is divided into two parts. In the first part, a function that takes a number as argument and calculates cube for it. The function does not return a value. If there is no value passed to the function in the function call, the function should calculate cube of 2. So, and then next is a function that takes two character arguments and returns true if both the arguments are equal, otherwise false. So one program will have two functions. So let's first plan it out. So in the first case, so I'm just going to copy this question here. So firstly, we are in the same program we need to have two functions. The first function, I'm going to just specify its name using def keyword. So the first function calculates cube of a number. So I'm just taking the name of the function as cube. And it takes a number as argument. Also the function does not return a value. So this is important. And if there is no value passed to the function, in the function call, the function should calculate the cube of 2. That is, we need to take an optional argument. One argument which is also a default or an optional argument. So, as we know that default or optional arguments are those arguments which have some default value which is already assigned to them during the function definition within the parameter list. That is, the formal parameter will be assigned a value. So that value will be used in case the user does not supply any argument during function call. So I'm just taking a value here num and giving it a value 2. So this becomes a default argument. So the function, it simply takes an argument and calculates cube. So we are going to just calculate the cube. This function does not return a value. That means I'm simply going to print the cube here. So num raised to the power 3, that will be the answer. So when whatever number is passed, if suppose the function call is cube, that means 2 will be used. So 2 raised to the power 3, it will return 8. And if some other number is passed, like for example cube 3, so there it will be giving us the value 3 cube, which is equals to 27. Okay, so that's only thing, and this output is also going to be printed on the screen. So here it is. If nothing is passed, then obviously the cube of 2 is going to be printed. So very simple question at that. Second is a function that takes two character arguments and returns true if both the arguments are equal, otherwise false. So we'll take def, and I'm just taking a value char compare, and it's going to take two character arguments. So let me take one as ch1 and the other as ch2. So it returns, now this function returns a value, returns true if both arguments are equal, otherwise false. So if ch1 is equal to ch2, then we will write return true, else return false. And so let's do this question and see for ourselves what we get. So I'm going to open a new document here and save it. So I'm going to write it as two functions dot py. So I'm going to first define. First one is def cube. So the two functions are written. Now this, if you get such kind of a question in your exam, then in your exam simply you have to stick to the question. That is here, if suppose the question ends over here, that means you have to only specify the two functions. But if suppose you are also given this statement, test both these functions by giving appropriate function call statements. So here you will have to write statements within the main area, that is global area. That is, I will write here, first is cube, simply I will be calling it without arguments. Second is I'll be calling it with an argument. So let me take any argument 7. And in the next one, char compare, I'm just going to supply two characters. Let's run the program. So you can see that over here I get 4, over here I get 49, but I am not getting any answer in this. Why? Because this function is returning a value and I will not be able, the value is returned but it is not printed. So this has to be a part of a print statement. Those functions which don't return any value, they already contain the print statement. So all you have to do is just call the function. It becomes a standalone function. But when a function is returning a value, it has to be either a part of an expression or an assignment statement or a print statement, which you have already studied before. It's just a reminder. So here you can see we are getting the answer as false. You can use this also in your expressions, like I can write if char compare, that is if it returns true. I'll write here print both characters are equal, else print both characters are unequal. So if char compare means you don't have to explicitly write equals to true, because simply specifying, Python is an expressive language. So if you are writing it like this, if char compare, it means if, it automatically means that we are checking, we are testing this condition for true value. So if char compare, that means both the characters are equal. So we are going to run the program and you can see both characters are unequal. Why? Because one is small t, other one is capital T, and both have different ASCII code. They, not only ASCII codes, because Python works on the basis of Unicode characters, hence they both will have separate Unicode coding. Okay, now our next program is write a function, namely nth root, that receives two parameters x and n and returns nth root of x, that is x raised to the power 1 by n. So let's copy this function. Let's copy this question. So here we are. So nth root is the name of the function, the name of the function, receives two parameters x and n and returns this value, that is x raised to the power 1 by n, which is actually the nth root of x, right? So how will I do this? Default value of n is 2. So all the required elements you know. Now we'll define the function like this. So we'll write it exactly as it is specified in the question, nth root, receives two parameters x and n, and the default value of n is also given as 2. So you can see that in many cases, whatever you need, your answer is hidden in the question itself. So here I'll be writing, it will be returning a value. So I will write here return, and I will write here x raised to the power 1 divided by n, and that too within brackets. Why? Because the precedence of exponentiation is higher. If you check the operator precedence, the precedence of exponentiation is greater than that of division. Hence, we need to first make sure that 1 is divided by n, and whatever is the value that is used for exponentiation. So I will be using brackets here such that 1 divided by n is executed forcefully first, and then this entire expression will be evaluated. So let us test this program. I'm going to create a new file. The name of the file question is nth root of number and def. So I can just write enter the base and enter the exponent, and let me give some expressive variable names here, base ex or exponent. So we pass both of them, and we print the value. So enter the base. Suppose I enter the base as 45 and I enter the exponent as 3. So this is the answer which I am getting. Next question is the 8th question. So let me copy the 8th question. So in the 8th question you can see it's written here, write a function that takes two numbers and returns the number that has minimum ones digit. For example, if the numbers passed are 491 and 278, so we have to extract the ones digit from here. Here the ones digit is 1, that is units place, units, tens, hundreds. So we have to make use of the place value of the number. So the units place in both the numbers, one is 1 and the second is 8. So here function will return 491 because it has got minimum one digit number. That is, here 1 is less than 8. Hence, the answer which we should get is 491. That is, we need the number with the minimum or smaller ones digit or units digit. So how to do this? So we will create a function here, min unit digit number. So a little longer name this. So I'm going to just take two numbers for it, A and B. And now I need to extract the units place of both the numbers. So I can get it like this. If I can get the units place of a number by dividing it by 10 and returning its remainder. So 491, if I divide it by 10, then I get its remainder as 1. Okay. And similarly, if I divide 278 by 10, I get its remainder as 8. So this way I can get the remainders of the numbers. So I will write here, if a percent 10 if it is less than b percent 10, then this function is going to return. So I'll write return a, else return b. So let's test this function now. So I'm going to open a new file. Units place num comparison, number comparison. So now I write here def smallest small unit place. So I've just shrunk the name of the function. So a comma b, if a percent 10 is less than b percent 10, then return a, else return b. So I'm going to ask for a and b from the user. So I'll take x, enter a number, y equals int, enter another number, and I will write here, because it returns a value, so I'll write print small unit place x comma y. Save it and run it. So enter a number, I write 491, I write 258. So the smaller number is returned over here. I'll run it once again and we'll try to enter some other number. So we get 654 because it has the lowest, the smallest units digit number. Let us see some conceptual questions now. So we'll just scroll up. So students, now we are going to see some HOTS questions, that is application based questions. Let's see the first one. What are the errors in the following codes? Correct the code and predict the output. So I have already copied the first code over here. So this is the first code. Now the errors over here are, firstly, total is okay, This is a global variable, so I can write it like this. Next is DEF, undue indentation to DEF, which is not required, and this semicolon is not required. Semicolon is not required, undue indentation. Here the indentations are correct, but again the semicolon is not required. This return total. Now this return total should be indented. That is, it should be a part of DEF. And here also we don't need this semicolon, and because this function is returning any value, that is the reason why sum has to be a part of some statement. So we will be needing a lot many modifications in this, so I'm going to just change it. So let us change it, total equals 0, and let's give it a comment line, that is, it is a global variable. Then def sum arg argument 1, argument 2, and I'll write here total equals argument 1 plus argument 2. Print total and return total without the semicolon. Semicolon is not needed there, and sum has to be a part of any statement. So I'm going to write here any statement. I'm just going to write print sum 10 comma 20 and print total. Let's run the program and let's analyze it now. So over here the output which you get is, first is total is 20, that is our result of sum. So total, that is 30, and then again the value which is returned 30 and final value. So how do we get this? Let us analyze it. So over here total is 0, that means firstly we are going to have 0, and this total is a global total. So it is stored somewhere else in the memory, so it is pointing to 0 now. And coming to now, because the statements in a program, now I'll be copying the corrected code. So let me bring the corrected code here. So this is my corrected code. So let us see how this corrected code works. So first total is 0, so that means this is total, which is pointing to this memory location 0. And after executing this statement, we will directly jump to this statement, that is print. And within that also you can see sum. So first a function call will be made to sum, and argument 1 and argument 2 will get the values 10 and 20 respectively. So 10 is for argument 1 and 20 is for argument 2. Now within this, now here total equals arg1 plus arg2. So this total means another total in the memory, that is the local variable. This will be a local variable localized within some function. So it is made to point to the sum of argument 1 and argument 2, that is 10 plus 20, that is 30. This print statement will be executed now. So what will be printed? Total, that is 30. And we have a return statement also. This return statement is returning where? It is returning the reference where? In this function, that is print. So now what will be printed? Already it has the print statement within def, it has been executed. Now the value which is being returned, it will be printed by this print statement, that is it will take up the value in this way. Now print 30, so 30 will be printed as it is. And final statement print total, this total will be printing, it is the global total which will be printed, that is 0. And this is your local variable total, which is visible and which has its scope only within DEF. It is visible only during DEF. Sorry, only within the periphery of sum. The moment sum is executed completely, this particular area will be freed. Okay, and when we come back, all what we get is this total, because they are immutable. Hence, this total will keep pointing to 0 only. So our output is going to be this. Next question. So here what all are the errors? First let us find out the errors. So DEF tot number, the colon is missing here. Method to find total, fine. This statement is okay. Then for C in range 1 comma number plus 1, this is also okay. This is also okay. Return will be small letters. Return sum. Rest statements are okay. Print total 3. So now for this it will be parenthesis instead of square brackets. Let us now run the program. So first of all our program execution will start from this print. So print tot3. So what it is going to be, now one very important thing is over here, method to find total, okay, function calls. Now in range, okay, so I have to send some values. Yes, so total 3, print total 3, that is I am going to first make a function call to this function by passing the value 3. So this 3 will be accepted by number, so number will be having the value 3. Then we have sum which has the value 0. So for C in range 1 comma number plus 1, so that means C equals to 1, 2, now number is what, 3, 3 plus 1, 4, that means 1, 2, 3. Sum plus equal to C. So it sum will be, it's quite obvious, it will be the sum of these three values, that is it will be 6. So it won't be 6 like this. Of course we know that this will continue to be 0, but sum will be reassigned multiple times. So the final value which sum will be reassigned to is, it's going to be 6, and this association will be broken. So then return sum is done. So sum will be returned over here. That means this statement will become print 6, or print sum or print 6. So what will be printed? 6 will be printed. Next is print total 6. So we sent 6 over there. So instead of 3 now it will be what? 6. And same way 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because here it is number plus 1. So the sum of all these values, so 6 plus 4, 10, 15 and 21. So 21 is the value which will be printed over here. So this is how we will be solving the first question. Next is question number 2. Consider the following code and write the flow of execution for this. Line numbers have been given for your reference. So flow of execution is, first our execution will start from this, that is n equals 5. That means 9 followed by 10 followed by, now there is a function called calc square. That means there is a function called to this, that is 5. Then 6 and 7 will be executed in sequence. Okay, wait. Now after 5, 6 will be executed, but then there is another function called to this power. So 1 will be executed. After that, this statement will be executed, that is 2. After that, return y, that is 3. Then from 3, so this value will be returned over here to a. So it again comes back to 6. Then return a, that is 7. So this gets returned over here, that is to 10. And then after this 11. So this is the flow of execution of a code. Coming to the last question, what will the following function return? So def add m is the name of the function and we are passing three integer values x, y and z. This function will not return any value because we have a print statement over here. So this such kinds of codes you have to be very vigilant with them. So I hope you all understood today's class. We have discussed three programming questions and three HOTS questions from the functions chapter. So please practice other questions also along with this. This won't take much time, hardly 1 hour time or 45 minutes to solve it. If you solve these questions daily and take out at least 45 minutes daily, then you will be able to crack the questions in the exam very well. So thank you very much. That's all in today's class.